How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
The ballerina's falling into place, and there are dangerous animals hunting a clown in a cornfield. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom.
Groovy. So, hello and welcome back to another episode of Off Screen. Loads of movies to talk about this week. As always, we're going to do movies on home platforms, movies on Freeview, and the box office top 10 to start with in a second. We're going to look at Clown in a Cornfield. We've got Dangerous Animals. We've got Ballerina, and also Falling into Place to look at as far as new movies go. So I guess let's do what we always do and look at this week's top 10. How much money have they all been taking?
Yeah, if they filled them in the right this time, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Not to tell anyone how to do their job or anything, but last week was a bit of a mess on that spreadsheet. So here's the interesting one for you. Number 10 of the box office top 10 in the UK this weekend was Sinners. Sinners is now out on digital. So, yeah. And now to date, Sinners in the UK, £15.6 million. Very respectable earning. People love this movie. Like, anyone who's seen it, seems to have enjoyed it. I've not known anyone come away from it and not like it. Like, even I, who really don't want people that keep harping on about this original film thing like it's a wholly new idea, have to admit it's good fun. And I really enjoyed the look of it, the feel of it, the music of it. The performances are very good, I think. I really liked the sort of psychotic musical sequence in the beginning. Did you get to watch this?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I would back you on saying that everyone that I've heard speaking about it, everyone says they love it.
Well, number 9 is Thunderbolts, which at this stage, I mean, look, it's going to be on Disney Plus in like 3 weeks, I would imagine. The studio themselves spoiled their big sort of, takeaway from it, a good moment that would otherwise be like, aha, kind of, nice, punchy ending. I don't know why they did that, but so number 9, it's been out for 6 weeks. It's nearly out the top 10, so that kind of tells you where we're at with the Marvel stuff these days. Number 8, and I was at this on Saturday night, this was Doctor Who, the 2-episode finale, which was a single screening, one-time live broadcast in cinemas, and they timed it to exactly line up with the BBC broadcast, the iPlayer drop, and the Disney Plus drop of the final episode of this season of Doctor Who. But they showed, because it was the second part of a two-parter, they showed the first part directly before, like 45 to 50 minutes earlier, and you had it as a movie. And I had avoided the first part for like a week. I tried everything to have nothing spoiled for me. I had a couple little things ruined for me, but it didn't take away. And the result was awful.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I am a Doctor Who fan, and I was at Comic-Con that day, Milton Keynes, with Faith, with my friend David. We were really looking forward to it, and it was garbage. What a bloody mess that was. But the theatrical experience of watching Doctor Who on a cinema screen, because I didn't get to catch the 50th anniversary one, seeing Doctor Who on a cinema screen, that was enjoyable. I have to admit, there's something about that. I just wished it had been in a better story or a better episode or in a better era.
Wasn't it taken over by Disney and now they've just handed it back?
There is something in the air about who owns Doctor Who. But anyway, we're getting too sucked into Doctor Who lore.
We are.
Yeah, there's a whole, believe me, I can talk for days on Doctor Who. We'll save that for the eventual off-screen Doctor Who spin-off podcast. Number 7, not seeing this one, Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme, which has been out for 2 weeks, has made just under £2 million. I would say that's about right for a Wes Anderson movie. I've not heard anyone particularly raving about this one, though, and it hasn't reached meme culture stage just yet or anything like that. Number 6, been out for a month. It's made £9.5 million. The most financially successful so far, I think, of this series is Final Destination Bloodlines, which I believe also has the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating for some reason. But I had a really good time with it. I think you will as well, Adam. I think it's one of those you just have a nice chill evening with and just enjoy the carnage candy of all the deaths, I'll
tell you a story very quickly about Bloodlines Destination. We last weekend we'd booked tickets, me and the other half, to go and see it. And we were going to go to one of these lovely cinemas where we could lay down on a big chair and have nice food. And then we had a row and didn't go.
So fate intervened that night.
It did. I still haven't seen it, so it is on the list.
Did you hear about the cinema in South America where the ceiling caved in during a screening of Final Destination Bloodlines, and I think it might have killed a woman or seriously injured her.
Oh, no.
As it is. And it was during a screening of Final Destination, to which that's just... You're like, wow. I mean, it's a tragic story, regardless of circumstance. But you feel like there is a sick irony.
Yes.
In a Final Destination movie, you know, that's just an awful. That's just adding more awfulness on an already absolutely terrible story. Speaking of absolutely terrible, Peppa Pig, Peppa Makes the Baby Cinema Experience is at number 1. It's been out for 1 week. Sorry, this week, not number 1. God, it's at number 5. Also out for its first week was The Salt Path, which we reviewed last week.
Yeah,
that has made $1.5 million, which respectable little debut for a film that, you know, didn't really have a huge marketing campaign. It was very grassroots feeling marketing campaign that just had Gillian Anderson and Jason Isaacs kind of like doing the rounds, press in flesh kind of thing. It was a very, like I say, it's a very in-person, very grassroots sort of a campaign. And they've sort of joined with what was her name? Rayon Wynn, I think her name was, who was the real woman, the author of the true story, and who's played in the film by Anderson. She's been getting a lot of press time with them as well. It's been nice to see. It's like $1.5 million that's made. Up to 2.5 though. Also out for 1 week. Karate Kid Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked this. This was such good fun. Number 2. Out for 3 weeks now. 17.5 million quid in the bank so far in the UK alone. It is maybe the last Mission Impossible? Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I doubt it. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning is at number 2. And at number 1, £25.1 million to date.
Mad.
Making just 6.1 million quid in this last weekend alone. It is Lilo and Stitch. Can you imagine? We live in a universe in which Lilo and Stitch trounced Mission Impossible.
That's mad, isn't it? I mean, that goes to show who most of the cinema goers are these days, doesn't it?
It's being referred to as generational nostalgia.
That's interesting, that is. I suppose that's the same as if there was like another Back to the Future in 10 years. I'd certainly be taking my son.
It's exactly that. Like a Back to the Future movie. If you did a Back to the Future 4 tomorrow and you had somehow Michael J. Fox reprising the role and Christopher Lloyd both back in a Back to the Future 4, that would go down like Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Absolutely,
that actually would, and a big part of that, in fact, it would make more money than Top Gun Maverick, because I would argue that there is more generational nostalgia, infinitely more generational nostalgia for Back to the Future than there was for Top Gun.
It pains me to say it, but I agree with that. I really do.
There academically is no stage musical of Top Gun, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right, absolutely. Yeah. All right, well, that's the box office top 10 for this week. I guess we're going to head to Scotland for our first movie.
I promise you that was more creative in your intro than I felt. Well, not creative. That was more enjoyable in the intro than the film itself. Not to bury the lead on this one. So, Falling Into Place, which is a new, as you point out, Scottish set movie. I think I would describe it as a romantic drama. As a romantic character drama about what's her name? Ian and Kira. That was it. Ian and Kira, who are two strangers who meet in Scotland over a short period of time. I think it's like a couple of weeks over a winter. Have a romance while they're there, and then they both return to their respective homes afterwards and their real lives. And it is, they have had this holiday romance. Now we're back in the real world. He in his case has an open relationship with a partner. She has a very disparate life of constant change and just men who fail her, for instance. And I forget where he is. I think he might be Manchester, she's London or something like that. And it is about basically just their lives as they move on, how this fleeting romance kind of sticks with them along the way as they seem destined to some sort of eventual reunion. But it's about how much their lives may have moved on by the time they get there. So have a listen.
Do you think people always fall for the same kind of person?
It's a shame that we both can't unravel our scars.
I mean, you fall for people who are bad for you.
I'm trying to allow myself to be who I am.
You don't know who you are.
What's that supposed to mean?
Like, you don't know what you want.
You think you need to change for me, but it's got nothing to do with me, Kira.
Well, how do you want me to be different then? And then you try something new.
Or you just decide to be someone new.
Have you decided who you are yet?
It sounds like it's been designed to be quite a thought-provoking movie. Was it?
Again, it's been. I would like to put the emphasis on what you just said there, and thought to be. It's intended to be, right? Intended to be a thought-provoking movie. It's intended to be something like before was it After Sunset or Before Sunrise? The Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy trilogy.
Yeah.
The Richard Linklater trilogy. It really kind of clearly is inspired by that, and basically wanting to see what the time in between those movies would be like. I can imagine that was the original idea of this, and this is sort of how it plays. The problem is, this isn't anywhere near as soul-piercing a film as that was. It's trying for it, and it's been very nicely made, but I don't think it's got the gristle. It's not got the gumption. It's not got it in the tank to quite get there. It's a good attempt, but the fact that I'm making this comparison was just sat so heavily on me through the entire thing tells you that it really never manages to be anything other than a weak homage, to be honest. I'd say for someone's first feature film, a very impressive effort. Like, the look of it is really solid, and the feel of those performances works, but there is a certain je ne sais quoi missing from it that always leaves you feeling like, I can see the inspiration, but I'm just not there. And I felt that all the way through this. And I say, it's not a short film either. It clocks in just under 2 hours. And I did feel like, again, you could have lopped half an hour out of this. You might have slightly more pulled it off. But it just fell apart for me there.
Well, Falling Into Place is in cinemas from today if you want to go and check it out. Right, we're on to an action movie next. We're going to look at Ballerina. We'll see what Van thought in just a second. Stay there. Hello and welcome back then to Off Screen. We're going to dive straight into our next movie right now. It is called Ballerina. It's listed as an action thriller, but also it's listed as one-person army action. So does that mean that the camera is from what they would see for most of the movie?
No, God, no. You're thinking of Hardcore Henry. Have you ever seen Hardcore Henry?
I've seen the trailer.
Yeah, the whole movie is like watching someone play Doom.
I like
or
that.
Wolfenstein. It's fantastic. And that guy went on to direct Nobody, which, funnily enough, is set in the John Wick universe. We've got a sequel to that coming out this year. And so is this. This is a spin-off to John Wick. Right?
See, a serendipitous connection.
Serendipitous connection. So, see, we have Kevin Bacon the heck out of this. Right. I also love that if you pull this up on IMDb, it has a wonderful electric pink and dark purple colour scheme, as if to evoke the wonderful use of bisexual imagery made famous by the John Wick trilogy. So it's all coming up Wick. Right. So, this is the female-led spin-off, which, as its full title says, is From the World of John Wick. It's officially called From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. And it stars Ana de Armas as Eve. Now, did you see John Wick 3, by any chance?
No, I haven't.
Right, just to truncate this for you, in John Wick 3, we kind of got the backstory of where John Wick came from. He was an orphan who was raised in, they're called the Ruska Roma, I believe they're called. And it's a ballet school, effectively, that is run by Angelica Houston as the director, as in the ballet director. And she raises orphans who she also trains, and she raises them to be assassins for the Ruska Roma as well.
Oh, I like the sound of this.
And this is where John Wick came from. Now, in the events of John Wick 3, he had to go and ask them for a favor at one point. He had to go and be sanctified, I think it was, as like a member of the clan or something like that. And that happens at the very start of this film. This film is set in the interim space between John Wick 3 and 4. Okay, so it's part of that story. And they give you bits of the timeline. There was a ballerina at this, at the Ruska Roma school, not played by Ana de Armas, but named Eve. We saw her very briefly in, I think, John Wick 3. Anna de Armas takes over the role here, and we get the backstory that she was witness to her father being murdered by some sort of mysterious John Wick universe crime syndicate, where all the guys have X's stamped on their wrists, and she is taken in by the Ruski Roma, who raise her as a ballerina assassin until she graduates to the point where she is sent out on missions, either effectively as what's called a kukumara, I believe is the term. In the same way that John Wick is the Baba Yaga or the Boogeyman, the Kukumara is the protector, like a ghostly spiritual protector of myth and lore. And she is sent out more often than not to protect people, but using the same lethal skill set that we know from John Wick. And this is the story of her eventually tracking down, completely by chance, really, or following a chance encounter, the people who murdered her family and her going on a killing spree. However, they would much rather market this as a John Wick spin-off, in which case, have a listen to this clip from the very start of the movie in which she meets John Wick.
How do I get out of here?
The front door is unlocked.
No, I mean, how do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have. That door will lock sooner than you think. You can still leave. You still have a choice.
Why didn't you leave?
I'm working on it.
I love the music there. That sounds great.
They've kept that, yeah. It's very much a John Wick style movie. Like, they're clearly trying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still got 87 North all over it. So 87 North obviously are the name in action movies, action stunt movies these days. And they made their name with John Wick 11 years ago now, when the very first one, I think it was 2014, the very first one. And they've made their bread and butter off the back of John Wick. And as a result, this is their flagship brand. They are still bringing the heat. So all the set pieces, all the action stuff is tremendous. Like, it is kick-ass action like you do not get elsewhere. It is the Hollywood answer to The Raid. Like, it's that kind of level of action. It's a lot more popcorny than The Raid. The Raid is a lot more brutal, but this goes there. This always has with 87 North. And you look at something like Violent Night or The Fall Guy or Nobody or Atomic Blonde, any of those. And like I say, there's no one else in the game quite like this. These are the stunt guys. There's 87 North and there is the entire rest of the industry. Like, that's the level we're at here. However, the rest of the film, sadly, is not quite up to that bar. Which is a bit annoying. It's so depressing. Right, there's lots of fun kills. Right, and there is a lot of charm to be had in seeing, like, Keanu Reeves come back and be like, I'm working on it. I'm thinking I'm back and all that stuff. It's great seeing Keanu do the John Wick thing again, in a reduced capacity, obviously. He's very much a sort of expanded cameo, I would say, in this. He's in it about the same amount, I would say, that Daniel San is in Karate Kid Legends. Like, wow. Like, about that much. Like, but no, not even that much, because Daniel San got a third of the movie. John Wick gets, I think, I'd say about a fifth. About a fifth of the movie, maybe. Like, he's involved in the story. There is a point at which genuinely think he just popped off for a pint. Like, it feels like there was a point in the movie in which I genuinely turned to my friend Zara. You met Zara. We turned to each other and went, has John Wick nipped off for a pint? Because we know, like, there's a point where he has to be missing for a certain amount of time. Wait, is he gone for a pint? Like, what's he doing? Like, that point. Anyway, so there's all that. There's the fun to be had in the kills, etc. However, it is the most rote, like, direct-to-video style plot. Direct-to-video, early 2000s style spin-off sequel cash-in nonsense. The likes of which Sony used to make their name with for the DVD label. Like, when Sony made things like The Lost Boys 2 and things like that. Like, that's what this feels like. Very much that. But way more eye-wateringly expensive. And because it's an 87 North production, shot and filmed as if it's a AAA tier thing.
Right.
But all the way, you never escape this direct-to-DVD kind of feeling spin-off. It feels a lot like the 30 Days of Night one There was one in about 2007 called 30 Days of Night, Dark Day. No,
Seen it.
It was maybe 2009 or 2010, thereabouts, because 2006, I think, was 2007 was the first theatrical 30 Days of Night. This has the feel of the sequel. Ana de Armas really does not have the charisma to pull this off. A character this quiet, a character this, solitary, the same way that Keanu Reeves did, because that was all about Keanu Reeves' unique, charm, his style, his vibe. Ana de Armas does not have that. She's got the physicality and she can do the action stuff great. Like, she's good at that. But you feel like it's never a compelling character. And as a result, all of the sort of extraneous, assassin world stuff they bring into it never works either. It never overcomes. As a result, you feel borne down by the weight of the director DVD feeling, that vibe that's being put out by the script. It's also got incredibly mixed messaging. There's this whole thing where they hang the movie on this catchphrase, "Fight like a girl." They keep saying "fight like a girl." And you're like, "Oh, that is, it's a badass catchphrase. I like it. Okay, now stick the landing with that." And they don't. Instead, they absolutely undermine that moral with this constant referencing to be opportunistic, cheat. You're like, whoa, okay. The assumption being made here is that any woman is physically inferior to any guy. Like, this is something that is out. You can never be stronger than your opponent is something that he said when referring to male opponents to a class of women who are then told, fight like a girl, cheat. You're like, wow.
Blimey.
Okay, so then I went and checked the writing credits, and written by a dude. Yeah, absolutely, written by a dude. I was thinking, that guy does not have daughters. That guy does not have daughters, does not have sisters, and I'm reasonably sure didn't have a great relationship with his mum. You know what I mean? It's you're like, wow. It is quite misogynistic at times. But just offhandedly. You can tell it clearly doesn't mean to be, but it is. And that's when you become aware that you're watching a feminist actioner that is written by a man. And I believe me, I had this pounded into me by women after the movie. Both Faith and Sarah both had this going on. And I was already there, so I didn't really require much convincing on this one. But it's something that you can't quite escape with a movie that, funnily enough, really wants to be Jane Wick, when in reality it comes across so blandly that it struggles to be atomic brunette. You know what I mean? Like that.
So unconsciously misogynistic is your quote.
Yes, unconsciously misogynistic, yeah.
There you go. Ballerina, if you want to go and check it out and see if it is unconsciously misogynistic, you can. It's in cinemas from today. Still to come then, we've got Clown in a Cornfield, we've got Dangerous Animals, and next we're going to look at the movies that are on Freeview that you can watch from home this week. Stay where you are. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. Let's dive straight in to movies on Freeview this week then. Starting today, it's on today, E4, 9 o'clock, American Pie. Who doesn't love that?
I mean, I will always go to bat. It's such a treasured film for my formative years, American Pie. Even though, obviously, like Porky's, it has aged like milk. It's incredibly problematic by today's standards. But, so many of the great comedies of that era were. Like, I saw a clip from the movie Waiting yesterday, which, oh my God, if you watch that film in this decade, it just does, you can't believe it was Ryan Reynolds saying half the things he is. But American Pie is kind of similar with Sean William Scott, to be fair, as Stifler. But so many iconic moments come out of this. And of course, it gave the world Eugene Levy in fully fledged form as Jim's dad. It's on E4 tonight at 9 o'clock, as you say. I'd be visiting.
It's thanks to this movie that since I watched it when it first came out a long time ago.
26 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. 26 years ago, I've never been able to keep a straight face when anyone has ever told me that they play the flute. True story.
Indeed. I can understand that. And then you get to the sequel, and you really can't. Yeah. So another movie that at least had a good part 2 is on Saturday night, 9:00 on the Horror Channel. We've got Young Guns. You remember Young Guns? You ever see Young Guns, or do you remember the sequel?
Yeah, I know. I do. I've seen that one a long time ago. Yeah.
Do you prefer the first or the second one out of interest, or do you remember?
I did. I've never saw the second. I only saw the first. Yeah,
because the second one was the big bombastic blockbuster that had like the John Bon Jovi song, and you had the Blaze of Glory by Bon Jovi. Yeah, so it's unofficially now called Young Guns 2: Blaze of Glory. The first one, though, I think gets really overlooked because of how bombastic they went with the second, and it's quite a neat, stripped down, like star-studded kind of western of the mid-80s. I think it's 86, the first one. Horror Channel, Saturday night, 9:00. This stars Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips. I think Charlie Sheen in the second one. Dermot Mulroney, I believe, is in there as well. And there's another one that I'm forgetting. And they are the regulators who set out to avenge their sort of adoptive father's murder. The adoptive father being the great Terence Stamp, and the murderer being Jack Palance. And they mount up to go and bring him to justice and get their revenge. And it's a kick-ass little western. And then the sequel is more about one of those members being none other than Billy the Kid. So it's kind of that. But the first, I just think isn't all. I think they're both all-timers in their own way. But the first, I think, is a better movie than the second. Another great of its time, I think, another iconic one of its time. If I say the words to you, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. Do you know what movie I'm talking about? Or if I specifically say it as, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. If I say it that way, does that jog any memory for you?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Slightly.
Okay. That's Samuel L. Jackson in A Time to Kill, which is on at 10:55.
I knew it was Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Because Dave Chappelle parodied that so well with his Samuel L. Jackson beer that I can never unhear it now. Sunday night, Channel 4 at 5 to 11, that one. Great John Grisham adaptation from, I think this was 94. No, it was 96, I believe, maybe. And of course, gave Samuel L. Jackson that legendary moment on the witness stand, which just, I say, it's up there with Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. It's one of the great courtroom movie moments.
Yeah.
Monday's one, I reckon you've seen this one, Man on Fire. You seen Man on Fire?
Oh, it doesn't ring any bells to me. Who's in this?
Okay, so this is Denzel. I think this was his first collaboration. No, definitely not, because Crimson Tide was on there. But it was his sort of reunion with Crimson Tide director Tony Scott. This is the one where he plays an alcoholic, like ex-CIA special forces type, who takes a job with a rich American a family where the husband is Mexican, the wife is American. And they have a small daughter who's played by Dakota Fanning, and he gets hired as her personal security, and then she gets kidnapped, and he goes out for blood. It's awesome.
I have seen it. Now you've explained it. Yeah. I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, yes. This is a great movie. The problem with this movie? It's so good that whenever it's on a weekend, and I do my Freeview movies spot with Paul Ross, we both pick it, and we wind up just running with it, and we just say, well, it's so good we both picked it. So we actually sacrifice a movie because neither of us is willing to give up how good Man on Fire is every single time. And you can see it on Monday night, 9:00 on Film 4. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend you do. And if you have seen it, as I know you have, Adam, obviously you'll know that it's worth going back and revisiting because it's that damn good.
I'm pressing the R button and recording that bad boy so that it's on my hard drive, ready to go for next time I want to watch it. Tuesday, Film 4 again at 9:00. Again, this is one I haven't seen. Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Which I am just going to clarify, like, they're sod all on a Tuesday night ever. So it's always going to be the dumping ground of the week. And so that's why we're settling for the meager likes of the borderline disastrous Venom Let There Be Carnage. Which, do you know what? At least has Woody Harrelson hamming it up and you get to see Venom go clubbing. Like it's got that going for it at least. So yeah, let bygones be bygones. Yeah, Wednesday 5 to 7 on Film 4. Bill Murray in the iconic Groundhog Day, directed by was it the late great Harold Ramis, I believe. Egon from Ghostbusters directed this, and it's one of the all time like most memorable comedies I think ever made. It's so good that every year on the actual Groundhog Day, one movie channel, I forget which, shows nothing but Groundhog Day all day long. That's
the irony.
That is a true story. And on Thursday next week, this was a Best Picture winner, if memory serves, and won more than a few awards, really, didn't it? Thursday night, 9 o'clock on Film 4, The Banshees of Inisherin. Didn't win Best Picture, did it? No, sorry, it won Best Screenplay, I think. But what a movie. I bloody love Banshees of Inisherin. Have you seen this one?
No, again, another one on this list I haven't seen, but I do know a lot of people said that it's really good.
This is Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson as the longtime friends. One of them just one day decides, I don't like you no more. Leave me alone. I don't want to be your friend. That's the very simple premise of it. And it is absolutely fantastic. So 9 o'clock, Film 4 on Thursday night. Absolutely watch. If you've never seen it, you've got to see The Banshees of Inisherin once. Everyone should see it once. I think it's a great movie.
My hard drive's going to be full by next week, by the sounds of it.
That's what I do, man.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so let's move into our next new movie, Dangerous Animals. So, if I'm honest, this just looked something to me like a bit of a cheesy movie, but I might be wrong. I'll hand it over to you. You've seen it.
You'd think that, wouldn't you? You really would. So, this is a new movie from Sean Byrne. It stars none other than Jai Courtney. Like, do you remember Jai Courtney from anything ever, out of interest?
Yeah, I do.
You know the name, don't you? But you don't remember what you know him from. It's one of them things. And I'm willing to bet you that if right now... I'm going to run a little experiment for you because I've always wanted to test a theory, and I'm going to show you a picture, and I'm going to show you. I'll hold it to the camera for you.
Oh God, so you're probably going to do this to the wrong person. I'm going to get this wrong.
Okay, so if I hold that up, right, and say Jai Courtney,
it's Mark Wright.
Actually, that's Sam Worthington. So I wanted to test a theory. I wanted to know if anybody could tell the difference between Sam Worthington and Jai Courtney. They look bloody nothing alike, but they're both Australians who inexplicably get roles in big movies. So Jai Courtney is one of the most forgettable actors you will ever see, and he has starred as Kyle Reese in Terminator Genesis. He starred.
Oh yes,
Captain
I know who
Boomerang,
he is.
Captain Boomerang in The Suicide Squad. He is John McClane's son in A Good Day to Die Hard. So yeah, and he's terrible. So that's a whole thing. Wow. Anyway, so he now stars in this Australian-made psycho thriller in which he's genuinely trying to be a menacing psychopath. Like, he's really trying acting here. And he plays a psychopath who has a swimming with sharks tourist experience based on a boat, and he lures couples on and basically offers them up as sacrifices to the sharks, filming them gleefully as he goes. That is the premise of this movie. Enjoy this clip.
Wait! Oh, how romantic. It's too bad I'm more of a horror fan. Every fisherman loves a good fight. The thing the fish doesn't realise is that once that hook sets, no matter how hard she runs, she's already in the boat. Welcome aboard.
This is basically if Jaws could befriend humans.
This is basically Jaws meets Dead Calm, is literally the remit on there. But you can tell from that clip. Now, that clip is from the trailer. So that is the obvious intention of what you have just heard is that's how they want you to see this film. That's how they want you to conceive of this film. That's how they want you to perceive and take it in. Which is to say, quite a punchy horror film. Like, he literally says the line, I'm more of a horror fan myself. So it's in there. And Jai Courtney is absolutely playing that. Like, fair play to him. He's trying, I'm going for a full-blown horror movie villain. The problem is, the writer of this movie most certainly is not.
Oh, no.
They are not. They think this is something closer to Fall. or the one recently in which the group of young women was stranded, like with the shark circling them. I don't know. I forget the title of that one. It was a group of women on a hen do, I think.
I can see the picture of the front cover.
You know
of
the
it,
poster, so do I. Yeah. But I mean, put it this way, I checked. 6 minutes. You make it 6 minutes into this movie before they're singing Baby Shark. Like, that is... There's some moments in there where you can tell this was meant to be a lot more of a popcorn film than it plays. It plays too much like it's been written for a Dead Calm style psychological thriller. And Jai Courtney is playing it the other way. And and the problem is the material simply isn't there. It doesn't work. It simply does not work. It feels awkward and jangly, but you know what? There's a certain crowd for whom this really goes down gangbusters. A horror journalist friend of mine, I think, has committed to memory the image of Jai Courtney open-shirted doing a dance number. So if that's your type, this apparently is a damn good movie. There's some moments in it that I think are suitably gruesome, but they're to sell that lean into that horror movie side of this, but they're too few and far between. Really, for what the film needs, and when it does lay into those moments, it stretches the credibility of the psychological thriller thing that has been written as. So it sort of falls apart there as well, which is a shame. I mean, it's not more than a 3-star. I'm never bored by it. But it's never more than a 3-star effort.
Well, you can check out Dangerous Animals in cinemas from today. It's out right now. Right, still to come then, before we end today, we've got Clown in a Cornfield, which I still think is the funniest movie title that I've heard.
Great title.
Yeah,
that's a Snakes on a Plane level title, isn't it?
It absolutely is. So we'll see if it's any good after we do movies on home platforms this week, which you're going to do next. So stay right where you are. So hello and welcome back to one last ride in Off Screen. So we are going to find out if Clown in a Cornfield is as bad a movie as the title in a moment. But first, we are going to look at movies on home platforms. So what can you watch from the comfort of your own home if you subscribe to any of the services around this week? Now, you want to start?
Yeah. There's one that I haven't had a chance to screen in advance, and that is it's on Disney Plus today, and it's an animated anthology movie called Predator: Killer of Killers. And this is a movie that it's like 3 stories, each told in a different style of animation and set in a different time period that follow the basic architectural structure of the Predator comes to Earth on a hunt and faces eventually a lone warrior of different time periods. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, these time periods for this one are a Viking time period, samurai time period, and World War I or II, I think. Maybe World War II. And it's Predator in these settings. It is what fans like me have been begging them for years. And we sort of got that with Prey, where they actually took the Predator and just set it in the past and had us and showed us what it was like the Predator faced, a certain culture's warrior. Like we all chomp at the bit wanting the samurai one, for instance. So I can't wait to see this. I will say though that Predator, Killer of Killers is an unfortunate anagram, because that's not something I think we really are ever going to live down with this brand. Another one on Sunday, Disney Plus are also getting, and this one will amuse you. This is a documentary that's been in the box office top 10 for weeks. Yeah, so it's Ocean with David Attenborough. So this has been packing him in cinemas for a little while, wasn't press screened, and he's now going to be on Disney Plus from Sunday. So
I really want to see it. I love David Attenborough stuff. Like, there's nothing he's done that I've not liked ever.
Exactly that. I'm looking forward to having a nice chill session, just sticking this on in the background, just zoning out to it.
Hell yeah.
Kind of thing. Monday sees the 4K UHD release of Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven. I don't know if that's the full director's cut or the truncated theatrical one that Ridley Scott didn't seem to like so much. I know people seem to prefer the director's cut. I myself have actually never made it through the director's cut, so I would imagine it's probably got to be better. Didn't really care for Kingdom of Heaven. And Thursday, we have an action movie. Speaking of Kingdom of Heaven and Orlando Bloom, who's one of the stars of that one, he's also in Deep Cover, which is out on Prime Video next Thursday, and also stars Nick Mohammed from Ted Lasso, which I believe is about a cop teaming up with comedians. It's like an action movie about a cop teaming up with comedians. So, yeah, I mean, okay, that one sounds... We had Michael J. Fox and James Woods in The Hard Way 25 years ago, so yeah, I think enough time's passed we can do that. With Hollywood Homicide, that would probably be a comparison thing with Josh Hartnett and Harrison Ford. That one maybe a similar pitch, I think, but we shall find out anyway.
Well, Deep Cover is on Prime Video. That's on from Thursday. Okay, it's time for us to look at our last movie of the week, which I've been laughing about every single time I say its title, because it just does sound a bit paff, a bit faff, a bit bleh, but we'll see what Van thought of it. It's called Clown in a Cornfield. It's out in cinemas from today. Off you go.
Right. I mean, first of all, yes, that title, as we say, is very Snakes on a Plane. It's very... We're not messing about. Is what it is, baby. You know, it's literally like that. So this is the story of it's basically a new slasher movie type setup that's going to Shudder, I believe, today. It's on limited theatrical, I think, and on Shudder. And this is a slasher movie about a teenage girl who, you know, moves with her single dad to, you know, new town. He's starting a new job. She's going to go to a new school. She finds out about the local, the local town mascot is this clown type figure named Friendo the Clown, who's the mascot for a local, I think he's a syrup company. And on the annual Founders Day parade, there is a murder by an actual Friendo the Clown, and a slasher movie style bloodbath ensues, while the assailant obviously always turns up, you know, iconically as a very specific clown. Have a listen.
They're really big on tradition around here.
Every year, there's this parade where everyone gathers around a Friendo float.
Friendo? It's the clown on all the Bay Pen corn syrup labels. He's practically a local legend.
Smile, Philly girl. You're about to become a sensation.
Be careful who you hang out with. There's some real weirdos at this town.
See, watching the trailer, I can't decide if this is a sort of Scream-style horror movie or if it is going for the actual thriller horror movie that makes you jump.
Do you know, I was reminded of the now forgotten slasher movie Cherry Falls with this. Did you ever see that one? It starred the late, great Brittany Murphy and Michael Biehn. It was the teen slasher movie in which the killer was killing virgins.
No.
And true story, the movie genuinely involves all the teens of the town arranging to have an orgy to save their lives.
Oh my God.
That is an actual... I'm going to have to revisit Cherry Falls now. That was bonkers, and Brittany Murphy was so much fun in it, and also insanely hot. God, I miss that actress. But damn shame what happened to her. Anyway, so I found myself thinking of that. Also, the recent Eli Roth slasher, Thanksgiving. But like both of those, it is a very by-the-numbers slasher movie. Very by-the-number, very to the formula. I took a page and a half of notes, and I used the word trope 11 times in it. In the notes, and because that's really what the film comes down to, a series of tropes. It's the new girl at school trope, it's the we make viral videos prank, you know, fake out trope, it's the town legend is the killer trope. It's every trope you can imagine, to the point where it really might as well be trope in a cornfield. Like, even the cornfield itself, the clown and the cornfield are both tropes. Literally, the title is comprised of two tropes. It is all tropes, all the time, all the tropes. Buy one trope, get one free. In fact, you know what? Fire sale. Here, take a handful. You know, it's very much that. It's perfectly fine and perfectly enjoyable. But of the three movies that I've put on that list there, so Cherry Falls, Thanksgiving, and this. Cherry Falls was kind of just amusingly weird with where it went. Thanksgiving just had Eli Roth indulging all of his worst impulses, but having fun with it and applying it to something a lot more traditional than we're used to seeing out of him. And this has neither of those going for it. So what you are left with is the Tesco basics, the Waitrose Essentials, Tesco basics, supermarket own, flavorless version of this. But not unenjoyable, because even the flavorless version of this still has to have a lot of gore and and gratuitous deaths. You know what I mean? And obscenely inappropriate nudity and things like that. And I will say, there is an LGBT moment in this that I thought, actually, that's quite novel for this genre. Like, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Yeah, that's actually, hats off to you. There is something unique about this, actually. It's a very minor thing on balance. But you're like, okay, there's some spark in here. Cool. It feels like baby's first slasher movie. That's what I'd say. Baby's first slasher movie.
I was going to say, my comparison to Scream is not that far off then, because Scream is full of tropes as well, isn't it?
Well, no, but Scream is about the tropes. Scream is about satirizing and about drawing attention to the tropes and subverting them, or in its, as needed, indulging them. And that was always the genius. That's why Scream is such a timeless movie. But because even though it's very dated now, the tropes remain, and it did such a good job that no one will ever come close to that.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Well, you can check it out yourself. Clown in a Cornfield is in cinemas from today. So you're going to quickly choose a movie of the week. I think I know which one you're probably going to say, but...
I'm probably going to have to say Ballerina, but that's mostly for how it's made, well, the action scenes, really, and that the effort that's gone in there. Because, like I say, there's no one else like them. Never bank against 87 North.
Okay, next week, what have we got to look forward to? Juliet and Romeo? What?
Yes, because we live in a godless universe. Rebel Wilson has a new movie out that's like a rom-com. Yeah.
You're going to love that then.
Oh my Christ! I just know. Some days I really struggle to carry on. I'm not going to lie. There are days like when you look at the script and then the first film for next week's coverage is the Rebel Wilson rom-com. You're like, oh Christ, please. Can I go back to college?
How does it feel to know that you're going to waste 2 hours of your time and your life this week?
It's Rebel Wilson, so it'll be 80 minutes, if that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It'll be 18 minutes, if that. It'll be hacked to buggery and, oh, God. Anyway, we've also got an action movie starring Kerry Washington and Omar Sy next week called, and I love this title because it's naff as hell, Shadow Force. Like, okay, I'll go for that. Like, Omar Sy.
Sounds like an old Commodore 64 game, doesn't it?
Shadow Force sounds like it should star Chuck Norris. Like Chuck Norris or Dolph Lundgren star in a movie called Shadow Force. Like even Steven Seagal wouldn't star in a movie called Shadow Force. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Protein. Please tell me this isn't about bodybuilders.
It's about a serial killer who's also a bodybuilder and murders people and eats them to get their protein. I'm not even kidding. That's the actual plot.
Oh my God! I'd like to think it'll be good, and you'll say it was an amazing plot.
I hope it lives up to that title, up to that premise. Sorry, I mean title and premise, because title's short to the point and memorable. Premise, that's a corker. Let's see. And last but certainly by no means least, stop me if you've heard this before, is I'm sure something I'll be able to say before every line of dialogue on this one. It's the live action How to Train Your Dragon, which, let's be honest, is going to hoover up money, whether or not it's any good. But since it seems to be an almost shot for shot, line for line adaptation of the animated one, which is only 16 years old and has an entire trilogy at this point, I'm reasonably sure, obviously, there's going to be a certain standard of entertainment, promise there that's going to be delivered. So I've got no reason to be that skeptical. I'm mostly just going to feel... I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully you're not going to waste your time with that one this week, and you'll be saying how amazing it is on next week's show. But we'll wait and find out. That is, of course, everything done for this week. That's all we've got time for. We will return next week. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it cinematic, and we shall be back.
All right, here we go.
New Phineas and Ferb is here.
We're back, baby.
For 104 more days.
I know what we're gonna do today.
Of summer vacation.
I am ready for summer shenanigans. Let's do it. Oh, yeah.
All right. We're gonna bust Phineas and Ferb once and for all.
Are we gonna do this again?
New inventions, shenanigans, innators, adventures, and songs.
Brand new summer vacation.
New Phineas and Ferb starts June 5th on Disney Channel and next day on Disney Plus. On DisneyPlus.Disney.com.